Symptoms, diagnosis, cure. Whether you realize it or not, you're probably thinking in terms of those categories every time you filter a social issue, and it determines your public engagement as a Christian. Everywhere you turn, you hear believers talking about how they should respond to societal ills and social injustices. And well, they should. We can't ignore our responsibility to confront and to right what is wrong, at least not without doing harm to our public witness and effectively betraying the history of our faith. Just look at the saints of the early church and their legacy of social engagement. No, we have to talk about these issues. But there's something else that we can't ignore, and it is as urgent as it is corrosive: how we talk about each other when we talk about these issues. If there's one thing I've noticed, and I'm guessing you have too, it's that discussion about social issues among evangelicals is, well, really noisy, like a clanging gong or a clashing cymbal or something. I feel like I've heard that somewhere. I think it comes down to some dissonance over 3 categories: symptoms, diagnosis, and a cure. And what better way to illustrate this than Cavity Sam from the classic game Operation? Say hi, Sam. Sam says hi. First, symptoms. Now, we can usually agree about the symptoms. These are the manifestations of the problem. They're what we can see and what we can identify: poverty, injustice, abortion, inequality. Generally speaking, most Christians are on the same page about the manifestation of the problem. Then comes the diagnosis. And here's where people have different views. Where'd these symptoms come from? What is causing the problems that we see? Is it spiritual? Is it cultural? Is it from individual hearts? Is it from systemic structures? Is it caused by where we are now or where we were then? And depending on how you answer that, you propose the cure. The cure is, how do we fix the disease? What needs to change? And here's where things can get a little ugly. I really believe most people have the best of intentions. We're all trying to remedy the disease. But sadly, a lot of times it seems like we conflate agreement over a proposed cure with desire to remedy the problem. Read this book, hear this sermon series, affirm this phrase, post this hashtag, support this group, listen to this podcast, watch this documentary. And if you don't, well then, you must not care very much about the cure. Or if you don't agree with a specific diagnosis of the problem, you must be ignoring the symptoms. Or if you have never experienced the symptoms, you have no right to suggest or question a proposed cure. When Paul warned the Colossian Christians not to be deceived by different philosophies and arguments, he called them persuasive. They were plausible, they made sense, they just weren't truth. By the way, if you think I'm talking about that one issue that you agree with, I am. And if you think I'm talking about that one side of the debate that you disagree with, I am. Because this is one of the reasons we need the whole body of Christ, right? If the eye can't say to the hand, I don't need you, then can the podcaster say to the pastor he doesn't need him? And if the head can't say that it doesn't need the feet, can the ministry leader say she doesn't need the seminary professor? I won't pretend to understand, much less have the answer to all of the issues that we're facing today, both in and outside the church. They're nuanced and they're complex, but I do know that to the extent that we're writing each other off because we disagree over the symptoms, the diagnosis, and the cure, we're never going to help people find the great physician. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Blonde Orthodoxy so you don't miss a video. I'll see you next time.